Today we'll talk about Bitwig Sampler and incredible granular wave modes. These features lets you create crazy things like this. So let's go! The first mode, as the name suggests, will change the speed depending on the key you're pressing, and on that way it's also changing the pitch. It's pretty straightforward, but you can also change the speed by using this knob. Letting you stop the sample completely or even go in negative values, which will reverse the sample. So what we can do is to modulate this and you will have a classic scratchy sound. Or you can add effects and more modulations so you get more crazy results. Now this is good already, but I need to also talk about the offsets. This will literally change the start of the sample, the start of the loop if we activate it, and the length of the loop. So then you can also modulate them to have a different starting point each time and also an ever-changing loop. So then, thanks to Bitwig devices, you can easily start making things like vocal chops. And I even added a step sequencer, so I also changed the speed and hence the pitch. So that way you can get nice and experimental ear candy. In cycles, you can change the pitch but maintain the original speed of the sound. This time you can also hear some artifacts. This is because in this mode the audio will be divided into small waveforms. And the waveforms are separated by these blue lines. So now you have a collection of wave shapes during time, which means that this mode will transform a sample into something like a wavetable. When you change the speed, the waveform becomes more noticeable. And if we go to 0, we will only play the waveform where the start is right now. And as you can see on the oscilloscope, we have the same wave shape right here. We can also go in reverse. The format knob will also change the sound in different ways. The offsets, looping modes and everything else will make even crazier sounds. Finally, we have the last mode, which is a nice addition to any sampler. And of course, textures is a fancy way to say granular. We again have the speed. And once again, it doesn't affect the pitch, and this knob will change the size of the grain. I got a video where I explain better what granular synthesis is, you can check it out here, but basically it's like we are looping a really small part of the sound. Specifically, right now is 300 milliseconds. Then you got the motion that will start moving the grain around by a bit, so it's not always starting at the same time, adding variation, well, to the grain. Then again, you can use the offsets to add even more variation, then you can add some effects like delay and reverb, and there you go. Finally, let's go to another amazing feature that these three modes share, which is... What these snowflakes do is that it will freeze the playhead, like setting the speed to 0. But now this knob works as a representation of the sample length from the start to the end, so you can control the position of the playhead with it. It also changes the position here and here. This lets you create different sounds as you control where does it start and how it will move. Now the speed is dependent on how fast you change this knob and in which direction. For example, let's modulate it with an LFO. You have more control of the speed, so you can go more experimental. And on grain is going to let you choose, well, the starting point of the grain. Now, let's go crazy and try to use all of these features at the same time. So let's start modulating. For example, I have this LFO modulating the speed. With the random, I'm modulating the mode. So each time the random changes or we introduce another note, we can go from repitch to cycles to textures in any order. I'm also modulating the offset of the playhead. And not only that, I'm modulating the freezing point. Sometimes it's frozen and sometimes it's not frozen. Of course, I'm also modulating the position when it's frozen. So let's hear how this craziness sounds. First of all, let's check the dry sample. Now let's check how this madness sounds. You can see that we get a really crazy sound, but it's a really nice texture too. So let's try to use it on a song, using also other samplers. And that's everything. I hope you experiment with the sampler, it's really fun to use. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel and also give it a like. Not only that, check out my Patreon, and now you can also become a member of my channel. You get perks like free presets and early access to my videos. I will see you next time, bye bye!